Lane, you should be able to hear me now. I'm having a day, you guys. It's my turn, okay? So, hello, everybody. Glad you all joined me. Thank you for the little hiccup in my day. What do we got now that you guys can hear me? Yay! I need to talk to you guys about something Patty was pushing, and Patty is changing her tone. Okay, you guys all know how I feel about Ring doorbells. Hate them. Hate them. Hate Ring doorbells. Why? It's a modification of the property without written consent of the landlord. But it's a way for the tenant to know who served them a notice, when they were served, yada, yada, yada. Sometimes that can work against you. So for the most part, I hate Ring doorbell cameras. Landlord calls us. I need to do an eviction. One of my other residents caught some video footage on their Ring doorbell camera. Okay, what did they catch on their camera? Lewd and lascivious acts? What? If that tenant didn't have a Ring doorbell camera, nobody would have known what was going on there, okay? I don't like Ring doorbell cameras because they get used against us, but this is the very, very first time a Ring doorbell has gathered enough information from a neighboring resident to probably be successful in an eviction matter. So Patty's on the fence now about Ring doorbell cameras. Make sense? I'm on the fence because a tenant captured something another tenant did, and we're now using that to evict them. Okay. Not all Ring doorbell cameras are bad, only when they're used against you, right? So I may be reconsidering Ring doorbells. I'm going to wrap my head around them this weekend and then tell you what I come up with. But Ring doorbell it's a residence Ring doorbell, not the landlord's Ring doorbell. It's a residence Ring doorbell camera. Caught a lewd and lascivious act from a neighboring resident, and we are now evicting them because of that. And part of me goes, yeah, for the Ring doorbell. But man, I don't like them. But in this particular instance, I do. Sometimes they're helpful. I'll go with that. Uh-oh, somebody's unmuted. Does anybody have, oh, here comes my chat. Does anybody have anything that we need to discuss, talk about? Things that we need to chat about, okay? Because I know I've been real adamant about a Ring doorbell as a modification to the property without written consent of the landlord. Big about that. But now that a neighboring resident caught something that another resident did on their camera and then submitted it to the landlord so they could use it for eviction, might not all be bad. Okay? I'll wrap my head around them this weekend and give you a full report next week on where I stand with them. Okay? Because I'm on the fence.
Do you need to have signage that there are monitoring devices on the property?
Not necessarily. Another resident's camera caught this, not the owner's camera.
But it's still privacy, no?
It was in front of her door and it was just pointing at her door. And I'm trying not to go into detail on the case.
No, I understand. No, I understand.
Arlene, it's disgusting what this person did. Disgusting. They were pleasuring themselves in front of their video Ring camera and looking into the camera.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Only in property management, right?
Right.
So I laughed and joked about it. Ha ha ha. But you know what? If it wasn't for that tenant having a Ring doorbell, nobody ever would have known. Yuck. Yuck. I want to give one more piece of information, but I don't dare. The tenant filed an answer. All's good in property management, right?
Mhm.
There's a video and you filed an answer. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the courtroom on that day. I'm going to give you guys some bad news you're not going to want to hear. Yeah. But if it wasn't for that tenant, nobody would have ever known what was going on while she was at work. If that tenant didn't have a Ring doorbell, nobody would have ever known. People are weird. Weird. Okay. I'll get off the Ring doorbell for right now. I need to for my own sanity. Everybody, I don't know if she's on here. Let me see if she's on here. My girl on here? She is not. Okay. So there's something new tenants are doing. And what they're doing is after the eviction goes through and they lose for whatever reason, okay? They didn't pay the rent, whatever. I mean, they lose. There happens to be quite a few of them now filing appeals. Client calls me last night, Patty, I won my eviction case, blah, blah, blah. My tenant went down and filed an appeal. Okay. And now my court case, we sent the writ to the sheriff's office, but it's sitting with the appellate court. Appellate court. Okay. That's the court of appeals, kind of. Appellate court. Okay. They're filing appeals, and what's happening at the appellate court is they're requiring the tenant to pay the rent until the appellate court is through with their investigation. If the tenant doesn't pay the rent, the appellate court dismisses it. It goes right back to Superior Court, and you continue to move forward. So I'm just letting you know, don't get too upset when they file an appeal, okay? Because they have to pay the rent during the appeal process. And if at any time they don't pay the rent during the appeal process, then that court kicks it back to Superior Court and lets them continue with the lockout, whatever. Okay, so that's good news for us. Okay. The appellate court, you're not going to have a case trial. That's not how that works. Okay. Don't go buy a new outfit. Basically, the appeals court or the appellate court then takes your case from the case filing and goes through it with a fine-tooth comb. What they are looking for is the court making an error. Is there an error on your notice? Is there an error in the court filing? Was there an error for the time for them to file a response in the time that the default was submitted? That's what the appellate court is for. It is not because the tenant didn't like the judge's ruling and they want a mistrial. That's what they think they're doing when they file an appeal. They think they're going to get a whole new case trial. No, what they're looking for is to make sure that the court didn't make an error. In other words, are all of your T's and all of your I's dotted on your 3-day notice? Because if that was the reason for your eviction, they are going to rip it apart in appellate court, making sure you have a person to pay, a phone number to pay, hours to pay, an address to pay to. All of that comes out where? In the appellate court. In the event the appellate court finds an error, they rule it as an unlawful eviction. Unlawful eviction. Okay. In the event that they find an error that was made, they could tell you that you have to let your tenant move back in. If they're already out of the property. This is something new Patty just learned. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Why would I allow them to move back in? I thought Superior Court no longer had jurisdiction. The appellate court does? Lots of questions raising in my little blonde brain for me to ask the attorney next time we have a meet and greet. Usually they call it a Patty question fest. All right, so we're reconsidering Ring doorbells possibly, because if it gains information that can help us, we want that. What we don't want is information that could hurt us. So I'm gonna review that, come across that in a whole different aspect. And we'll talk about that next week. I saw that there's some questions going on, and I know people have questions and things going on. So let's get in this, okay?
Hi, Patty, it's Melanie. I just thought I'd talk about the eviction where I was
Okay.
last week, since you're on evictions right now. Thank you so much for giving me all of that briefing, because we showed up at court and it was in the afternoon. Our case was not on the docket, so we were all confused. Our tenant showed up, he didn't find it. The attorney showed up, he was like confused. So we're all going, I don't know what's going on. And finally, the attorney is speaking to our tenant, and I wouldn't budge. Because the attorney said something without prejudice. I couldn't remember the terminology he used.
Dismiss the money without prejudice. It means that you don't want it in this case matter, but they still owe you the money and you can sue them in another court for it.
Well, I'm looking at the document, and it says dismiss money damages without prejudice, and he's crossed it all off. So I wasn't
Correct.
sure what that meant.
It means he's not asking for money.
Okay, got it. But we can still go to small claims.
Bingo.
Okay. Thank goodness. I was like, oh my God, I didn't agree to that. So
no, what they did is said you don't owe it for this eviction case, but you still owe the money.
I see. Okay, all right. Now, thank you for clarifying that. And he also, so we gave him 15 days. So he's supposed to be out by the 28th, next week. And I've since received yesterday a filing for rent relief. And I don't know, it doesn't say anything about 6 months or anything like that. Do I just grab it or not? Because I'm a little bit nervous. Because
how much months of rent are they saying that you are approved and you're going to get paid?
It says that he is approved. I've got to submit the documents for the ownership.
That's the caveat. So let me ask you a question. How many properties does ownership own?
Far too many for that. Isn't it 8? Or it's a corporation in any case. That's what I was assuming it was, but it doesn't give you any, info. Okay.
Go ahead and apply. So you're participating too, and then you can get denied.
Got it.
But you're not required to participate in the program. But look at it this way. If the tenant applied and you're standing in court and the tenant did everything they're supposed to and the landlord didn't, how's the judge going to rule?
Right.
You're not required to take this money.
Got it. Okay.
But you see the weird caveat of what do I do? Which way do I go? You're not required to take the government money. So I would talk to your legal counsel on what they want you to do. Make sense?
Got it. Okay, will do. And then just quickly going back to
Sure.
Going back to the case wasn't on the docket. So they called the tenant forth and said that there was a minute order filed the week prior, and neither us nor the tenant nor the attorney knew anything about a minute order. And apparently the court had decided that it should go to trial in March, mediation and then trial in March. But we have a stipulation here, so I think that trumps everything. But why would the court automatically, without even just postpone it without telling anyone?
It's a jury trial, correct?
It was a bench trial last week, but yes, going forward, it will be jury. Well, it would have been.
What they usually do is when it's jury or they request a trial by jury, they automatically set 3 or 4 future trial dates because there's going to be 3 or 4 appearances before they even start picking the jury.
Ah,
There's a meet and confer, a mandatory settlement conference,
yes.
and something else, okay? I don't know
Right.
what it is. Not at this moment, because that's not
okay.
Patty's area of
No,
expertise.
don't
But
worry.
that's why they set the future dates, is because they know there's going to be a meet and confer, a mandatory settlement conference, blah, 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 blah. So they just schedule like 4 new trial dates for future.
But they just took us off totally last week. I mean, thank goodness.
Because you signed a, I get it. Sometimes you get lost in the crosshairs. I understand. And I thank goodness they heard it. And if you guys are doing a stipulated agreement, then it stops.
Yes, thank goodness. Now the tenant.
So Melanie, let me ask you some questions, okay?
Yeah.
A lot of owners get upset because they want that record sealed when you do a stipulated agreement. You guys, the record's going to be sealed anyway. Don't fall into that, okay? Yes, I'll seal the record. Do it all day long, okay? Money dismissed without prejudice means that they don't owe it to you for this hearing, but we left the door open so that they still owe it to you in another matter. In other words, you can sue them in small claims, general civil, etc., about the money they owe you. Okay? You're not waiving it entirely. You're dismissing it without prejudice, meaning I can come back. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's how the money went away. And then how much time did you give them?
2 weeks.
What city is this in?
Our favorite Devil's Cauldron.
Okay. And did you agree to pay them?
No.
Okay. So let me get this straight. You attacked in the city of Los Angeles based off of non-payment of rent, correct?
Yes.
If at any time I say something wrong, you correct me, okay, Melanie,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
Because what I'm trying to do is show everybody else, don't be so damn scared, okay? That's what I'm trying, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So you served a 3-day notice, you filed eviction, boom, they started doing this back and forth, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then bench trial, but now you're at a settlement agreement and they'll be out in 2 weeks.
Yes.
What are you guys all afraid of? The tenant doesn't want a jury of 12 people to know that they didn't pay their rent.
Right.
They just want to buy as much time from you as they can. But they don't want a jury to hear all their drama. In other words, don't fear it, you guys. Jump into the fire, hit it head on, because look at Melanie. How long have you been dealing with this eviction?
Only a couple of months, actually, not long, but he hasn't paid since July. So, and it was literally, we were in and out of the courtroom with 30 minutes. It was dead easy.
Please don't fear having to get into the legal system. You need that. I mean, if you hesitate, all you're doing is causing you more financial burden. That's all you're doing. Help yourself out. Hang them sooner, okay? I just wrote an article about a zero tolerance policy in late rents and how we need to change our process. We used to do what is called a pay and stay, where, okay, you didn't pay your rent, I'm serving you a 3-day notice. You didn't pay in 3 days, I'm filing the eviction. Boom, you're in legal. No money. Tenant, well, I got paid now and I want to pay and stay. Okay, we'll let you pay and buy out of the legal process. You have to pay everything you owe plus the legal fees. We'll reinstate your tenancy, pay next month's rent in advance. Boom. Okay, now we're off and running again. And boom, they miss a payment 6 months down the road and we're right back in this system. Only we're doing pay and stays to let them stay there and buy themselves out of the legal process. It may be the new normal, okay? It may be the new normal. We have to be quick to put them into the legal process, because if we don't, we're only waiting to what? Bleed more money? No, we don't want to bleed money, okay? Be quick to evict. I hate to say it that way, but we have to. There's no recourse for us anymore. It doesn't benefit or behoove us to be nice. Just saying. Okay, this is business. We got to keep it like a business. I have a tenant that threw a party. People were drunk and they got into it. Oh, I thought it said into with the neighbor. They got into it with the neighbor of a property you don't manage. I also received complaints about the residents' kids leaving trash and kicking balls onto the neighbors' cars. There's also loose debris, recycling cans stored outside. Can I send them a letter stating we'll be throwing it away? What can I do? First and foremost, you're not gonna reference the kids leaving trash and kicking balls into the neighbors' cars. It is going to be residents from within your unit. We do not define children, understand? Residents from within your unit were seen leaving trash and kicking balls onto neighbors' cars. Residents from within your unit were seen throwing rocks into the pool. Residents from within your unit, not children, not kids, okay? Occupants from your property, guests from your property, not children, not kids. Those are 4-letter F-bombs in this business. Children and kids are a protected class. We do not reference them. They are residents. They are occupants. They are not children. They are not kids, okay? And that's me trying to help you stay out of a fair housing lawsuit.
Quick question regarding that, regarding
You can
kids.
serve them a notice to clean up the trash and debris. You can serve them a notice about noise violations and things like that. Just don't reference kids and children. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I have a quick question regarding kids and children. On our property rules and regulations, we do have one of the rules is no children should be playing in the common grounds unsupervised. Would that be something that we need to change?
Get that out of there. Let me explain to you, okay? Define a children, that's a minor, correct?
Correct,
Right?
yeah. Yes.
My daughter's 17 years old, and you're saying that she can't play in the common area or she has to be supervised at all times. Does that mean I have to walk my daughter to and from her car when she drives herself to college?
Would
See what
walking
you
to the
asked?
car, but will walking to the car, would that be considered playing?
Well, if she skips on the way there, is she playing?
Yeah, probably.
Do
That
I
could
have to
be interpreted.
supervise her? Right, she's
Mhm.
17 years old, has a driver's license and is in college. And you're asking me to supervise her? Get that out of there.
So how would you word it? Well, how would you, what verbiage would you use as opposed to that?
Read me what it says again and I'll change it. Cause I'm that good. Go ahead. I'm being funny.
To read it verbatim, I have to find it. So give me a couple minutes. I'll
I'll
just,
give you 4 seconds. I'm playing.
I'll just
I'm
skip,
playing.
just skip to the next question and then I'll get back to you because I have other questions too.
I went to a property once and it had underground parking garage. Okay. And there was this giant sign on the underground parking garage as I was pulling out to leave the community that made me stop my car, back into the community, park, and go back in to talk to the manager. Do you know what it said?
What?
Children cannot play on or near the gate. Children are a protected class. You can't have special rules for children. That's a fair housing violation. Don't use the word children. Don't use the word kids. You could tell adults, do not play on or around the gate. Nothing wrong with that. But as soon as you use the word kids, you're in a fair housing violation on anything. AOA's lease contract, item number 13, talks about horseplay. I don't like that. Playing refers to children. Children are a protected class. So I would use words like, there is no congregating in the common areas. How do you like that? No congregating in the common areas.
Yeah. I have something similar to
That's
that.
the nicest way that I'm saying you can't play in the common area.
Yeah. I have that, and I have specifically the children thing, which I'm gonna take out today.
Yes, that's a big fine. It's a
Yeah.
big fine, just so you know. I want to say it's a
Because I think,
$200,000 fine.
yeah, when I say congregating in the common areas, I feel like adults like having a cigarette or smoke or having a drink. That's why I specifically put the kid thing, but
Right,
yep,
but you
but I
can't
can't.
define them. Yes,
Mhm. Got
you
it.
cannot define them.
Okay, I'm gonna take it out.
Be
Thank you.
careful. No problem. All right, so we can serve them letters about them having trash and debris. We can serve them letters about things like of storing barbecues outside and things like that, but we don't want to reference children at all, anywhere, ever, 7 times never. Okay? It really does come with some hefty fines.
Only if it's regarding pool, right?
No, pool is the one place. Thank you, Arlene, my sidekick right there, you guys. No joke. She's reeling me back in. The only place that it should say anything about children is one place that's allowed. And what it says is children under the age of 14 using the swimming pool must be accompanied by an adult at all times. That is California state law and the only place you can use the word children, and don't use the word kids. Kids refers to goats, not humans. Okay? Kids are goats, right? Okay. Children, protected class, very bad. Glad everybody got it. What is considered wear and tear for security deposit? Are furniture scuffs and scrapes, fingerprint smudges, chipped paint, wear and tear? I'm going to throw a word at you, and I want you to answer, and it'll click, okay? Are you talking about damage? Is there damage to the property? Is there a hole in the wall? Because that would be damage. Painting without permission would be damage. Okay? Smudges, fingerprints, wear and tear all day long. Furniture scuff marks, scratches on the wall, like where a scuff mark happened when they moved furniture in or out, wear and tear all day long. Hole in the wall, damage. Painting without permission, damage. Hope that helps. Okay. Anybody else? Come on, you guys. I know you want to pick my brain, but if not,
I
I'm going
have
to get off
another.
here. Go ahead. You
I
got
have
me,
enough
girl.
questions to take up the whole hour. I don't like to monopolize the call, the
It's all
meeting.
good. What else you got?
Okay, so I talked to you, I don't know if last week or the week before, regarding a property in Inglewood that I went to and to do the yearly inspection, and the tenants had made a makeshift laundry room where they put their laundry machines in there, and everybody was washing from there on our dime. So I sent the letter like you told me to everybody, saying you have, a week to get your crap out of there, and we're gonna go in and take everything out, which we did. We went in and took everything out. Also in the walkthrough, the property, it's like, I think like 6 or 7 units, and it's on a large piece of a parcel of land, kind of like park-like setting. So, in one area, they have like, workout equipment outside, kind of like, Venice Beach, Muscle Beach kind of situation out there. And, it belongs to one of the tenant and they all use it out there, but it's an eyesore. And then another unit on the same property, he has like 7 grills. And he used to have like 20 out there. And I told him, you need to get rid of all of that. And now he has like 7. And he says that they're all personal use, but I don't, what personal use can be 7 grills? So, what do I do to ask these people to like get all of this crap out of the property?
What city is this in?
Inglewood.
I'm sorry, you told me that and I went back.
Okay.
So we have an excessive amount of barbecues.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other issue?
They have like a whole workout area.
Workout. Okay, I
Yeah.
got you. A gym.
Yeah, gym.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. Okay, you're gonna watch Patty's brain work right in front of you. Okay. Attractive nuisance. CTI nuisance. SSI and CE, an attractive nuisance on the gym equipment because it could cause injury and minors and such like that. Okay, so I got that on the attractive nuisance remove. And then too many barbecues. And it's in Inglewood. Is anybody on in the community in the park-like setting on a 1-year contract, or is everybody on a month-to-month?
They're all month to month now, because it was a 1 year that automatically turns into month to month, but everyone's been there for years.
Tell me you love me.
I love you.
Okay. You can tell them to remove the gym equipment because it's been deemed as an attractive nuisance by the landlord's insurance company and is not allowed to be on the property. Someone could get injured. A child could get injured. There's no disclosures and it's out there for anybody to use and get hurt on. Because of that, we need it removed. It is an attractive nuisance, no difference than a trampoline or a swimming pool. It's not allowed by the owner's insurance. Okay.
Okay.
Also, modifications to the property without written consent of the landlord, along with the attractive nuisance.
A
Okay.
modification by the tenant,
For putting that equipment there at the property.
right, a modification by the tenant unauthorized. Okay,
Okay, so there's
wow.
2 violations right there. Okay, hold on, I'm not done yet.
okay.
As far as barbecues,
Mm-hmm.
there's been new talk about not allowing any residents to have barbecues on the property. It could be a problem with insurance.
Mm-hmm.
If a tenant doesn't use their propane barbecue properly, it could explode.
Mm-hmm.
Something bad could happen. If they don't know how to cook and they put their barbecue sauce on too early, it could cause fire, and then you have a sugar fire, and then you got smoke and flames. And so the owner could do a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy, not allowing any barbecues, smokers, or outside grills at the premises.
Mm-hmm.
30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy for everybody in there. And then on day 31, start serving your cure or quits to get rid of the equipment that is not allowed.
Okay, and so on the 30-day notice to change the change of terms and tenancy, put no,
Modifications to the property without written consent of the landlord were done when they installed the gym equipment without permission.
I mean,
And
for
it's,
the barbecue.
oh, for the barbecue, 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy saying that no wood burning grills, charcoal grills, or propane grills will be allowed to be on or kept at the property due to insurance purposes.
Okay,
In other words, the owner's insurance won't cover it,
mm-hmm.
so you don't have to allow it.
Okay, but what if that's, I mean, even though the insurance company hasn't said anything to us, we could just still put that.
Yes,
Okay,
but you have to treat everyone the same.
of course, we have to give it to everybody. And as far as the 2 violations. the attractive-
California Apartment Association has a non-grilling addendum in their addenda criteria. Just so you know.
Okay, and as far as the attractive nuisance and the modification by the tenant unauthorized by the landlord, how do you give that notice? In a letter or in an actual, regarding the gym? Now going back to the gym, what kind of a note? What?
It's cure or quit to remove the modifications to the property
you-
without the
you-
landlord's written consent.
Okay.
And then I would tell them that this is an attractive nuisance, which
So
it is.
use a cure or quit for the jungle gyms, for the gym, and then use a 30-day notice to change of terms for the barbecues. For everybody the same, everybody's getting served both notices.
Wood burning, charcoal, gas grills, electric grills, any outdoor cooking is not allowed. Whatever you want to make the rule, make it, because you got to stick to it.
Okay, got it.
And I'm
Okay,
telling you, California Apartment Association has a non-grilling addendum in their addenda.
okay, I'm gonna go and search for that.
And thank you, you guys, for waiting and watching Patty's little brain go down the rabbit hole of how do I help her? Sorry, sometimes it comes out in weird ways, but it comes out.
And then I'm gonna ask you the last question since I have your ear. So the disclosures that everyone's supposed to be getting now is the lead-based paint, the asbestos, the mold, the bed bug, and the Prop 65. Those are the 5 disclosures that everyone should have now, right? Am I missing something?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Lead-based paint, asbestos, barbecues.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Lead-based paint, asbestos, barbecue, bed bugs,
Mold
mold,
and Prop 60.
asbestos, Prop 65. Yeah, it sounds like you got all the mandated disclosures.
Yes. Now,
Mandated disclosure means it's required by law, just in
Right.
case I reverse. Well, some people might not know that.
so then I'm gonna print all of these out and serve everybody these disclosures. You said the last time nobody has to sign them. We just have to give it to them. And we just keep a copy in our file saying with the date that we served,
With the proof of service.
with the proof of service for for all of it.
Yep.
Okay. And the proof of service, I can get that also from the car? With
Proof
every
of service is, a proof of service is the same proof of service you fill out when you serve a 3-day.
And I just write everything I'm serving on the same proof of service? Okay,
Is that easy?
very easy. Yes,
Right?
yes. And then for new tenants, we just give it to them, the same, all of those at the same time when they're signing the new lease.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And as far, I sent you my website, and I sent you my lease before. And it's also, I remember you spoke about that a couple weeks ago because it was a lease that was done by my attorney at the time years ago, before I was using, or actually it was during when I was using fast evictions. But I'm going to start using the other one now, the one from, what is it? The CAA, I think it is.
CAA, AGLA, there's a bunch of
Yeah.
apartment associations out there, but
Yeah.
you learn over time that Car Forms does a great job for sales transactions, but not
Yeah.
so much for property management.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna print that one out and start using that. And well, like when you do a new lease, like what is a checklist of things besides those 6 addendums now, including the barbecue, that you should be giving? Those 6 addendums.
My lease packet is 40 pages long, 42, I think.
Oh my God. What do you include in it?
I have a mold addendum. I have my lease contract, which is
Mhm.
13 pages.
That's
and
the
then-
CAA one?
And then I do all the mandated disclosures, and then I have additional disclosures, like no
Mhm.
clothesline or drying racks. You have to use drying racks, no clotheslines. There's a lot of additional addenda that you can have. I even have my own addendum that I wrote regarding animals indigenous to the area. People were like, Patty, what are you talking about? I got a property in Apple Valley, okay? Tenants moved in. 3 days after they moved in, their dog got bit and killed by a rattlesnake. Whose fault
Oh,
is that?
Yeah,
Whose
well,
fault is that? So now I disclose that there's animals indigenous to the area that they need to be aware of.
Yeah.
Could be raccoons, possums, rattlesnakes.
Coyotes.
Bingo, animals indigenous to the area that you need to be aware of. Because I don't want to be responsible for somebody's dog dying. That's not cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to be responsible for somebody's child dying. That's not cool. If I can disclose that there could be raccoons, possums, rattlesnakes, coyotes, mountain lions, whatever is in the area, then I'm going to disclose that to help protect my asset.
Do
Make
you
sense?
have, yes, it does. Do you have on your website like a list of everything that you give out with the new tenants that I could look into?
No, but CAA has a checklist for
Okay,
your new rentals.
okay, I'll look at that.
I'm choosing my words carefully.
I
hope
know, I
you
know.
catch that.
I
Okay.
do, I catch it. Okay,
I
and
have
then
my
last,
own I have my own checklist that I use for corporate America. And basically it's a checklist of all the documents that are in that file that's signed off by a supervisor. So if I get audited by the DRE, they can look and see a supervisor already audited this. They put their name right there and this should be intact. So
yeah,
different set of facts when you're working with corporate America, but I have a checklist inside every single one of my tenant files in property management for profit of a checklist of exactly what needs to be in there. If it has a pool, if it has, so I hope that makes sense because some properties have a pool and you got to add the pool addendum and
yes,
things of that nature.
I love it.
They're
Okay,
properties specific on what you need for your addenda. Because if you don't have a pool, you don't need the pool addendum. You know?
obviously, yeah.
And if
then
the
my
house
last
has a
quick
jacuzzi,
question,
you need the pool addendum. If the house has a spa and no pool,
right,
because the pool addendum tells us the tenant that there's no lifeguard on duty. Very important.
yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, Patty, my last question, and I'm out of your hair.
Okay.
On your criteria that you sent, the new criteria, I uploaded it to my website. I do have a question because I was rereading it the other day and I meant to ask you last week and I forgot. Where it says some pets may be allowed with additional deposits, documentation, and rents may be required. Please inquire. What does that mean? And rents may be required?
Because for a hot minute, we were charging pet rent if somebody had a pet. You guys are listening right now. Do not do this. Okay. But we were charging additional rent if they had a pet. We called it pet rent, where the
Yes,
tenant had to pay rent for their pet. You
yeah.
can't do it anymore.
So I need to
So
take that out.
take out additional rents, just that.
And well, it says additional deposits. Some pets may be allowed with additional deposits, documentation, and rents may be required. So take the rents may be required out. And just leave some pets may be allowed with additional deposits or documentation or documentation.
What we're talking about is emotional support animals also, not
Right,
just,
yeah.
but we don't want to put that in writing. So it goes under pets.
Okay, okay, yeah, because I got this from the one that you just uploaded the other day.
I got you. Just take off rents. I'm human. I
Got
make
it.
mistakes too, you guys.
Of course you do. You are human, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I was
You're a
this one.
demigod, human and God.
I'll tell you, and you guys will laugh at me right now. You know what my biggest problem is today? It hurts to do this movement. Do you know what that's from? Rolling my house because I'm playing landlord. And for the 3-day holiday weekend, I rolled an entire house and my shoulders hurt so bad. I should not be rolling paint. Just saying. Okay. So just so you know, I'm playing landlord just like the rest of you. All right. Saw something else in here. Patty, what's considered wear and tear? Our furniture. We talked about that. I cannot answer your question. I'm driving right now. How about walls that have chipped area? Also, you could see the wood underneath it. If they put a big hole in the wall, charge them to fix it. Pencil marks, damage. Crayons, damage. Not wear and tear. Big nail holes like they mounted a flat screen TV, that's not a nail. That's damage. Those are bolts sticking out of the wall. You can charge them to fix that. California bill proposed that would require landlords to accept pets. Yeah, Arlene, challenging, isn't it? It actually went into law January 1st of this year, just so you know. Anything that has a certificate of occupancy dated January 1st of 2025 or later must allow pets. Also, on security deposit disposition, do I ever provide receipts, meaning cleared bill pays? Yes, from my bank, or invoices are enough. You don't have to provide copies of your canceled checks. You need to provide copies of the invoices that you paid. The vendor needs to have a name, address, and telephone number of the person that did the work on the invoice for it to be legal. I don't want the tenant to harass my vendors. That's not your problem. You can't control who they call and what they ask them. So they're going to call and ask them, you did this work at this property? Answer's going to be, yes, I did. And I got a question. I can't see who wrote that. You don't want the tenants to harass your vendors. Girl, I don't want the tenants to harass you. Let them pick on your vendors for a little bit and leave you alone, okay? Are you willing to share it with us? I am willing to pay for it. Your lease, I mean. David, my lease is available with an apartment association. Does that make sense? Ding. You just need to ask Patty, which apartment association do you belong to? Hi, Anthony. No pet rent is allowed. No pet rent, Anthony. No pet rent. No additional occupant fee of $150 a month. No. Look at it this way. That's not part of your base rent. It's not part of your base rent. So it's an illegal rent increase, especially in rent-controlled areas. Got it? Same thing with an unauthorized occupant fee. When you're charging them $150 a month because their brother lived there, your brother just became the tenant because you collected rent from him and you did a rent increase of $150. You're done with your rent increases for 12 months. And if it's over whatever the city allows, now you did an illegal rent increase. Careful, slow down. No additional security deposit for pets over 1 month starting July 1st in LA City. That is not true, Arlene. That is the whole state of California, not just the city of LA. Starting July 1st in the state of California, you can only ask for a maximum of 1 month's rent as a security deposit. 1 month's rent. The qualifications for a tenant, for a landlord that is exempt from the security deposit law that starts July 1st goes like this. Pay attention, okay? The landlord can own no more than 4 residential dwellings, including the house they live in. And they can't own more than 2 tax bills. Example, 2 single-family residents. Landlord lives in one, rents out the other, exempt. 2 tax bills, okay? Each of them have a duplex. Landlord lives in one of the units, still exempt. Single-family residence and a triplex. Landlord lives in the single family, rents out the triplex, still only has 4 rental units on 2 tax bills, including the house they live in. 3 single-family residences, not exempt. Okay, has to do with how many tax bills there are and how
What if
many
the-
units there are.
What if the owner owns all of these properties and each property is owned by the a different LLC? So for instance, like if you have 123 Chestnut Boulevard, that property is owned by 123 Chestnut Boulevard LLC, and then 9144 Valley View is owned by 9144 Valley View LLC. So each one is owned by its own separate LLC.
Corporations and LLCs are not exempt.
Oh, okay, so then they can still, they're not exempt, they can still receive it.
They can only get 1 month's rent. They're an LLC or a corporation means a business owns the property, not a little mom and pop. So they can only get 1 month's rent. Make sense? Anybody that holds title as an LLC or a corporation can only get 1 month's rent as a deposit maximum. That includes security deposit, pet deposit, key deposit, whatever deposit you want to call it. It can't go over 1 month's rent.
Okay, so then the only people that can get more than 1 month's rent is anybody that has 4 dwellings or less.
Not true.
Okay, then I'm confused.
4 dwellings on 2 tax bills.
4 dwellings on 2 tax
If
bills.
you own 3 single-family residences, they're on 3 different tax bills. You only get 1 month's rent as a deposit.
Okay,
Can only have 2 parcels of land and no more than 4 residential dwellings on those 2 parcels, including where the owner lives, to be exempt.
got it, okay.
And I'll tell you right now, if you're running a property management company, just go for maximum 1 month's rent security deposit. Why does Patty tell you that? Because you're a property management company. They're going to challenge everything you try to do. So just don't do it. I mean, God forbid, human factor makes an error and a manager makes a mistake and doesn't realize that the owner bought a new house and they didn't tell us. We didn't know. You're still breaking the law. It's too risky for a management company to try to claim an exemption on an owner. And that's just me talking out loud. A living trust, family trust, or held as an individual, married couple, etc., would be exempt, depending on how many properties they actually own. The security deposit bill. How about if landlords have a house out of state? Doesn't apply. Only properties in California. Okay. So starting July 1st, you guys, a 1 month's rent as a maximum, and we're gonna have to start disclosing fees in our advertising. What are you talking about, Patty? I have a cleaning fee on this property. It's $250. It's a fee. If I charge a fee, application credit screening fee, any fee, I want to charge that tenant for anything during the tenancy has to be disclosed in my advertising. For a security deposit bill, does it also apply to a month-to-month rental? Example, if a tenant's only there for 3 to 6 months, yes, it applies to all residential dwellings. Maximum 1 month's rent on a security deposit. That does not apply to commercial. All right, Arlene, thank you. It doesn't apply to commercial, only residential dwellings. Anybody have anything else that they really want to know the answer to? I saw my Roadrunner girls on here. All right, you guys, I'm going to call it a week. If nobody else has anything, if you guys need me, hunt me down. I would be more than happy to answer questions. And until then, you guys have a great week. Sorry I was late today. Things happen sometimes. I apologize. Glad that you guys all came and worked it out with me. We'll talk soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Patty, thank you.
Bye.